All right, welcome. This is the Approach Project, and the idea of this is to bring in two of the most approachable magicians I know and have worked with to talk about what it is to approach, the differences in corporate to close-up to bar to UK audiences to American audiences. So I have some questions written down from fans and Facebook friends and whatnot, and the main question I've heard over my performing career is, how do you approach?
Agreed.
You know, what is it? How can I work on it? How do I get over nerves? So the first thing I'd like to do, we'll do a quick introduction. Anyone who doesn't know, this is Duane Williams, cameraman, creator, performer. I would say I consider him the worker of the UK. He's the guy on staff that does more shows specifically to a UK audience, which is why I think your insights will be valuable. This guy we found on the strip. He was doing some card tricks, so we brought him in.
Did 17 versions of 3 Fly.
That's right.
We want them all.
That's right.
We want them all.
If you don't know Justin Miller, wake up, get out from under the rock. But Justin obviously has been approaching people for the better part of 30 years. So the first question I want to sort of tackle and jump on board with is the one that I hear the most. How do you get over the nerves, the butterflies, the anxiety of approaching? We'll take the question as, what do you do with that anxiety, that energy? You know, how do you handle it? So I want to start with you, Justin. I would assume you don't get as nervous as you used to, but if you can think back to when you were first performing and you really just cared about being able to show magic, not making money, but just having an audience that would watch it, that feeling of rejection, of nervousness, how did you, or what did you do to force yourself through it? And I currently still feel that nervousness every time I perform.
Absolutely, every single time.
So how did you, back in the day, fight through it? What was the thing, if you can remember, that you got through that
I had a
with?
really good support system. I had good mentors around me to teach me and to help me and go, no, you're ready, kid, go and do it. I mean, and that's a huge difference between just thinking you can do it or you can't do it, for someone else to go, I see something in you, I know you can do this.
Okay, so you had confidence built from people you could look up to or aspire to be.
Absolutely, and I also I was such an outsider in school. I wasn't popular at all. You know, obviously magicians aren't really popular in school in the beginning. So I wasn't popular or anything like that. So I had to find a way to fit in. And I used magic as a tool to fit into those places in social situations.
Do you recall, thinking back, any times, certain early performances that you were your most nervous?
Oh, I have a great one, actually. It's one I use in my lectures and talk about. And I remember it vividly. And this was the changing point for me. Because I remember I was in 6th grade, and it was in between classes, and I was getting a crowd around me, and I was doing some magic. And I used to shake a lot when I was younger. I used to shake a lot.
It's a great thing to touch on, just nervous shakes.
Very much so.
Yep, so you're a close-up magician saying, watch my hands.
I didn't know I was until this moment.
Okay.
And it was really a life-changing moment for me as far as performing-wise. I was doing Spellbound, right? I was just doing Spellbound. And I was shaking like crazy, and I heard a girl somewhere in the group go, why is he shaking?
Interesting.
And it did something to me. I remember it so vividly, and I go, oh, they notice things. I'm not just showing them something, they're noticing me.
Yeah.
There's a huge boundary now that has been crossed for me.
Sure.
So at that very moment I realized that the best way, and I know it sounds so cliche, but the best way to get over the nervousness is to go and do it. You just have to do it. You really do. And then take that energy, take that nervousness, take that fear, and use it in your performance. Use it against the audience in a good way, not in a bad way, obviously.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
I think exactly what you said. The only way to do it is to do it. And that's such a shitty thing to hear, because it's like...
But it's the truth.
It is.
Yeah.
Everybody says the same. It's like, well, the first show I do on stage, I want it to be amazing. I want to go out and I want to kill. And anyone who's good at what they do will tell you that's not how it works.
No.
It doesn't. There's certain things that you can't teach, learn, or practice without living it.
Absolutely.
Performing is one of those things, which is why this art is so beautiful, because the people that excel had to put the time in. You don't get to wake up and go, I know every trick, my dad's a millionaire, he's bought me everything, I'm gonna go kill on stage.
Right.
Well, you're forgetting about all the other stuff.
Yeah.
So I think I mean, if this whole project was boiled down to one sentence, right? How do you approach people? you just do it.
Yeah.
That's it. There is no other.
You have to get out of yourself. You have to. So when you're in front of the mirror and you're practicing all this other stuff, there's a confidence because it's just you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
There's nobody to heckle you. There's nobody to talk back to you. So when you go out now, you think that that's what it's going to be, just like the stage thing, like going on TV or whatever. Like, you really think you can just do this all of a sudden? I mean, look, there's many magicians I could name that we've seen over the years that's tried to do that, okay? And it failed miserably because they didn't go through the steps. They didn't have the confidence. They didn't know what they were doing. And the only way you know what you're doing is then you have to fail. You have to fail.
There's the catch-22 in there, which is, in my career anyway, there has been this, I want to make money with magic, make money with performing, but I want to be good, right? We all want to be good at what we do.
Did you always want to make money in the beginning? Is that what?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
When I started making money, I went,
Gotcha.
I want to do more of this.
Yeah.
But no, it was like everyone. I got bit by the bug. I was 6, and it went from there. But it was always well, how do I get good to make $5,000 on stage? Well, you go perform on stage till you're good enough. But how do I get a stage to perform on if I'm not good enough? How do I practice? You know what I mean? Like that catch-22.
Yeah.
My solution for that, and this is probably the wrong solution, but I'm not going to bullshit the audience, was to fake it till I make it. I got a $4,000 gig as one of my very first stand-up shows. Every professional out there would say I should have passed that on to someone else, but I didn't. I showed up and I did the show, and it ended up being one of my best shows, probably because of energy and everything, but it was just sort of that you have to build enough confidence in yourself to know that the value you're bringing to whoever's paying you is there.
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of magicians inherently have a little bit of self-confidence issues. As you perform more, your confidence builds.
Yeah.
But a lot of people get into magic because of that shelled up mentality. So it's hard to say I'm worth $3,000 when you have that low self-esteem, especially in the beginning. So if you can notice those and say, hey, maybe I'm not valuing myself the way that I should be, then you can kind of go, okay, well, I'm going to try this. I'm going to charge what I want to get. And if I book a show, have a good show, practice the show, but just do it, swallow it. There are a few tips that you can do to combat those nerves, and we'll talk about those later and whatnot, but it is, like I said, I think it comes down to one sentence. Just get out and perform.
Let me add one thing real quick, if that's okay.
Yeah,
Just one thing. It blows me away how many people don't want to try things that are new to them. I mean, we're not living forever, kids. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
But then that's been like my mantra throughout probably the past 20 years of my life. Why wouldn't you do it? Why wouldn't you try? Why wouldn't you try a startup? Why wouldn't you go and talk to that girl? Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You're going to regret it. Why would you regret it? It doesn't make any sense. When we did Wizard Wars, it's a great example. We had no idea what the hell we were doing. We'd never been on TV. We're like, they were like, you want to do it? We're like, yeah. We didn't say no. We didn't think about it. We're like, absolutely.
Yeah.
We had no idea what we were getting ourselves into. And what a challenge it was, right? But now we know more about that situation, about the behind the scenes and TV more than anything else we've ever done. It was a beautiful
I think
thing.
if you're uncomfortable, nervous, scared because of a project or something you're doing something right.
Absolutely. That's a great way of saying it.
100%.
Yeah.
Like even now to this day, like how many years I've been performing, I'll go to do like a wedding gig, and you still get those nerves. It's just learning to control them.
So when you say learning to control them, I want to dive in on that a little bit. How do you control so you still get the butterflies and the energy and...
Oh yeah, well I don't think it's nerves, I think it's more, it turns to more excitement rather than nerves. And for what you were saying earlier, my sort of path into magic was a little bit different, because when I first started, like a lot of people, it was from David Blaine, watching his TV specials. I didn't know there was this huge community. So I just used to go out and I used to go to the pub with my dad, perform. I didn't bat an eyelid, didn't bother me one bit, didn't get nervous. I just used to do it, people used to love it, used to get crowds. And it was only when I started joining the magic community that I started getting nervous, because then I was comparing myself to other
That's
magicians.
interesting.
I remember you said to me...
It was pushing me back into a bit of a shell.
You
So I
said
think
you
that's
genuinely
important.
thought you and David Blaine were the only people that were doing those tricks.
Oh,
that
you're
saw on TV.
kidding me.
For like a few
Oh,
years.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, but
that's the funniest thing I've heard of.
It's great.
It's the
But it helps with, I mean, if you think about it logically, look, if the guy on TV, the celebrity magician on TV is doing the same stuff I'm doing, I'm a celebrity magician.
That's right.
So of course they're gonna, and I
yeah.
think that ignorance is bliss aspect of, it helps build that confidence of like, dude, I can do this stuff that dude on TV does.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you said once you find out about the big community of magicians and other,
And you
then
start
it's
comparing yourself,
sure,
especially to the people, the paths you want to follow, like going into, being a professional magician, not just people who do it just as a hobby.
absolutely.
But when you're looking at these people who are doing what you want to be doing,
Yeah.
it really starts. For me anyway, it pushed me back, and I was like, oh God, these guys are amazing.
That's great.
They're doing this, they're doing that. I can't do that.
Sure, and now you're comparing yourself to something that oh man, I'm not as good as them, so I might not.
But then it goes straight back to just do it.
Yeah.
And it it took me losing my job. I didn't get fired. It would, like a lot of people lost their jobs because they were making cuts. But it took that for me to say, sod it, I'm just going to do it.
Yeah.
And I did.
Yeah.
So that's a good branch off segue. When you started, what was your first paid regular? Where was the first steps where you could say, hey, I can? Was it restaurants? Did you get your foot in the door in a residency?
The residency was early on, but I was just getting the odd gig to start with.
So let me ask you about restaurant residencies, because that's a good topic for the approach. There's a totally different mentality when you're in an environment where people have paid money to eat food, right? They've basically rented that table for that time. That's their space, it's their room, and you're intruding into that space. And there's one of two things that can happen. The restaurant is an advocate for you, and the best restaurants will do that. You come up, hostess goes, by the way, we have a world-class magician who's gonna hit your table. Great. Most restaurants don't. Most wait staff think that you're stealing their tips, and so you're going up blind to an environment that could be they just got out of a funeral, or it could be they're celebrating a wedding dinner, but it's still their space. How do you gauge that before you approach that table? Do you have anything where you're going to analyze the people, or is it the same approach across the board?
It all depends on what type they are, because there's the couples who are sitting having a nice romantic night together, maybe having some food or some cocktails. There's the group of like a bachelorette party or something like that who want a really good fun time. Same with guys. Girls and guys, I think groups are a little bit different to approach. You've definitely got to analyse each table as you go to it and how you're going to approach that, because one approach will work for one, but totally opposite reaction to another.
What about you? I know you did a lot of restaurants earlier on. Do you approach groups differently? Do you look at the audience and tweak your approach accordingly?
Absolutely, 100%. Whether you're dealing with, like if you have, like you were saying, like a couple, right? The guy immediately is going to go alpha male, okay? He's going to think you're hitting on the girl or whatever, okay? So you got to go to the guy first. You got to be friends with him before you do any magic. Oh man, what's your name? Oh, boom, 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 boom. Now he understands you're just there. He's now able to enjoy himself, right? That's a whole different situation.
Just on that, exactly, great tip. And the thing that took me a little while to learn in New Orleans was it felt rude, but I blatantly ignore the woman.
Absolutely.
And I turn my back to her.
Absolutely.
And it's not a disrespect thing to the woman. It's not that I'm going to address the man first.
But
it's
she
to combat
likes
that.
as a woman because it builds mystery in her life.
And also,
really interesting.
we're not, regardless of your appearance, you are approaching a table with a dude and a woman, and you're about to show both of them things they can't explain. So for me, it is that sort of, I'm politely ignoring you, so he's going to allow this to happen. And of course, no dude's going to be like, no magic, that's my girl. But yeah, if you can win him over, you've gotten past that whole, who's this suave dude who's doing stuff to my woman I can't explain.
And that's why they usually do something like, it's funny, the girl will always go look at the guy, do you know what's going on? And he'll like, yeah, keep going.
I'll tell you later.
But keep going, man. Dude, you're doing great. You're doing great. I love those guys.
Yeah, there's one thing I used to do was make a joke about my fiance. So he knew straight away I was
that's great.
taken.
Nice.
And you can see them just sit back and relax.
That's great.
instantly.
That's great. Very smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, I ask a lot in my performing, especially if it's a couple, or you might not know it's a couple. So I'll just say, oh, how do you guys know each other? And it's an awkward question because it puts all the heat on them in their relationship.
Yeah, I like
so
that.
now I'm not, if they're boyfriend, girlfriend, I've just asked that. So the man can, or the woman can claim, we are a couple.
Yeah.
And that's a great line. Oh, me and my wife, whatever, we've been together X amount of years. Anything like that is very smart. And self-deprecating humor, which is overdone in my opinion in magic, is also a good, especially if you're a very charming, good-looking performer, a little self-deprecation can go a long way.
It's like timing in comedy. It's very important, but you have to put it and place it in certain situations.
Exactly
for it
right.
to work, yeah.
So on that topic of restaurants, boyfriend, girlfriend, there's a few different ways to approach it, but the main thing is to know you are approaching, I don't want to say a touchy situation, but just know what you're walking into. That guy might be a bit taken back, so approach it accordingly. The second group I'd like to talk about is, let's say there are two gentlemen, business attire, have no idea what they're in there for, and they're chatting. Do you have any red flags, any specific ways you would approach them?
Yeah, if they're having fun, if they're laughing.
Yep.
Because look, if they're on a business trip or whatever, if they're talking about, yeah, you know, Susan this, like, whatever, hey, can I get you a shot? Boom. I want those guys. I need those guys in my life. They're going to have a great time. Absolutely. If they're more reserved and they're more like, well, yeah, we got to be up at this, we got to, you know what, maybe not. Maybe not, you know.
So you're judging them from aesthetics from afar. You're just looking at them and going, do they look like they're having fun?
Yeah.
What's the conversation seem to be about?
What's their body language? How are they?
So let's say it's a very business-heavy type conversation. There's some stern faces, a lot of conversing back and forth. You're hired by the restaurant. What would you approach? Would you not? And then if so, if you didn't, how would you explain that to the
I would
restaurant?
actually go behind the bar and start doing magic. Hey, can I get you guys something to drink? Cool. I'll get the bartender. Blah, blah, blah. And then go into something. What are you guys here for? You know.
Let's say they're at a table.
Yeah. Find out what they're doing. What are they here for? You know. Always find out what they're there for. I think that's a really important part.
So, do you have anything to say on that?
I used to those kind of people, especially like businessmen. Looks like they're in the middle of a conversation. I used to just stay well away from them because I used to just have that presumption that they don't want to see magic.
They don't want to see magic. Yeah.
Then I started forcing myself to ask these people, the people who I thought didn't want to, and it totally changed my look on it because 9 times out of 10 they were like the best crowd of the night, and you would not expect it.
Yeah.
So you just one thing that you should definitely do is just force yourself to do it. And
Getting out of your own way. Getting out of your own way.
Great.
Absolutely.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
I think very much the same train of thought. I used to just think I knew. Nope, not a good group. Not a good group. And you will get there. You'll get to that point after performing for lots of years. You'll just sort of get a feeling.
Yeah.
But I would avoid them like the plague as well. And then the same thing happened. One time I got forced into this sort of clearly business dinner and I performed at their table. They lost their minds. So I did the same. It was like, I don't care who they are, unless there's a few, I've been in a restaurant before and they were crying, the woman was crying, and it looked like the guy was breaking up with her. Probably not something you're gonna walk into, right?
Yeah.
But other than that, that idea of just do it. Go out and force yourself to walk up to them. I did it at there was a woman with a 12, 13-year-old son, and they looked very, very somber. It just seemed like something was up. But I'd already gotten to that mentality. So I walked up, hey, my name's Adam Wilber. I'm the restaurant entertainer. I do magic. Would you guys like to see some? And her response was, we just came from a funeral. We'd love to. And I was like, whoa, okay. And I did about 15 minutes of magic at the restaurant for these people. And the mother after the fact came up, and I didn't accept tips, that's part of my own thing, but she wanted to give me a big tip, and I was like, no. And she said, I just gotta tell you, we couldn't have asked for something better than what we just experienced. 2-3 years prior, I would have seen that and went, they're not happy. But that little, hello, I'm being a human, that's all I'm doing. I'm not nervous because all I'm doing is offering them an out of reality. If they don't want to see it, it's not me that they don't want to see. So I don't need to be offended. And this idea of remembering that every single person is as human as I am, and they all have their challenges, and they all have something in life happening at that moment, it lightens that rejection
does,
for
doesn't
me.
it? Yeah.
You know, for somebody to say, no, I don't want to see magic. It used to hurt. Because I know how
took
good
it
I am.
personally, right.
I know what I'm trying to. You know what I mean? Like,
But
I
it's
know
me.
exactly, exactly. Well, so you don't want to play with me,
Right, exactly.
and that's not it, right?
Right,
You just
right.
never know what position somebody's in at that current point in their life, and even someone coming from a funeral. On the other end of it, someone might have been like, "We just came from a funeral. Could you please leave us alone?"
Right.
Sure. I'm so sorry, and you walk away. They're not rejecting you.
Yeah.
Their life circumstances. It's
You're feeling a necessity in life, aren't you? At that moment, you're doing something. You're giving something to them they need. I think another important aspect, and I have a funeral one too, which is one of my favorite stories. I was in Owego, New York, shooting for something, and I was at the bar at the hotel, and there was a lot of group of people. They were all wearing black or whatever, and two other people came by, and I was drinking, and I had the cards out. That's all it was, right? And what do you got there? Cards. I'm a magician. We're shooting some stuff. Oh, are you a magician? Oh my goodness. We just came from a funeral. Our grandfather died. It's the whole family. Would you mind doing something? Now that blew me away, right? Because now they're coming to you and saying, what they're saying is, we need something. I hope this is what we need. They don't know yet, right? So I introduced, and oh my God, the sweetest family in the entire world. And my first thought was, what do I do? Do I do a card trick? Ugh. Right? I've got to connect to these people somehow. I basically did the torn and restored napkin, the two you tear, I fold, boom, boom, they transpose, right? And then at the end I have an ending where you take the two, they put them in their hand, and then they both are restored at the end, right? But I made a message out of it though. This is his life, just like life, boom, 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 boom. I did one trick, that's it. And at the end, everybody was crying. Everybody came up to me, hugged me, and said, and the mother, grandmother, just was like, she was like, you're a godsend. We needed you, and we feel his spirit here right now, and thank you. And he would just, and I started crying.
Yeah, of course.
Lost my mind,
Yeah.
And that's when I realized how powerful magic really was. It wasn't just about performing for people; it was the trick placement, And I wouldn't have known that unless I tried something,
I think, as far as bringing that around to the approach, I think it does just stem to approach people.
Yeah.
Do it as much as possible. It's okay for them to reject you.
Fail. It's important
Yeah.
to fail. You have to
Of course,
fail.
yeah.
You're not going to be good unless you fail. Every successful person in the world who's successful right now has been miserable failures before they were beautiful successes.
Yeah.
It's true. Every single one.
So, staying on topic here a bit, talking about restaurants still, we've talked about the guy and the girl approaching them, the businessmen. Are there any other situations specific that you would never approach, that you love to approach? Or is it just in that mentality of approach everybody and see what comes of it?
Adam, do you remember when, this was in the early days of Ellusionist, and the whole team was sitting at a table, and it was in the days where you wanted to walk up to anyone, so we challenged you. You challenged us to pick a table that you couldn't win over. So we looked around, it was a big restaurant, and there was like a Chinese wedding party, like a reception dinner. Do you remember?
Oh yeah,
this?
of course.
And not all of them spoke English.
Oh, that's great.
Just a little.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, you're gonna bust into that reception party where they don't speak English and win them over. Do you remember that?
Of course.
Okay, tell the story.
Of course. Well, for me, it was partly also the hunger of wanting to put my name in front of the people at E,
Sure,
right?
sure.
It was a bit of a show off.
Absolutely, of course.
I was blown away at the lack of performing that this E team did. I mean, they perform to each other
Right,
and
right.
create and do shit. I'm like,
Funny.
yeah, there's 7 magicians at a table in a bar with 200 like fun people.
That's funny.
So half of it was just sort of that like, hold my beer.
Yeah, what-
Like, let me show you what to do here, right? And then I slowly started realizing like, we're creators. This is a company for magic. We're jamming, and it was half this. I want them to see me being the guy to go work it.
Absolutely.
And then the challenge. I mean, we were just talking about that on the street. That's also a great way to get rid of those nerves. Is just
Absolutely.
find a trusted friend,
Yeah.
spend a day or a trusted group of friends
Yeah.
where you can say, okay, that group.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit of a added gusto.
Yeah.
It's not you just going out practicing. It's
Yeah.
like, Oh, you don't think I can win these guys
See
over?
those guys look like mafias and they're carrying violin cases? Go talk to them.
And that challenge, for me anyway, especially in that environment where it was like, I'm gonna win over these guys. Fucking Brad Christian's here. I'll watch this shit, you know.
That's right.
That was the energy I needed. It took my nervousness of approaching the table and turned it into, I don't care what it takes to win these people over.
That's right.
I remember the way they looked at you when you walked up to the table.
Yes.
All of them, like, what is this white boy?
What did we do wrong? Yeah.
What did we do wrong?
Like, what does he want? We're at our wedding reception, you know, and we're Chinese.
Yeah.
What you want, white boy?
Yeah. It was. But I mean, that's part of getting good at it, right? Is just the challenge game is super fun. It's
How you
super
went with
nervous.
that particular group, and you did.
Yeah, that obviously language barrier is something to talk about on an approach.
Absolutely.
Right? Normally, if it's not a paid gig, that's a very drastic exception because I was around you guys. But normally at a non-paid gig, I just don't want to, look, I'll put it this way, the material that I could do for a non-speaking audience, I've already done so many times, I don't need that practice,
Right.
and I wouldn't get the payout. So I would avoid non-speaking groups normally, unless it's a paid gig. And I've worked a few paid gigs where the main language was not English,
Right.
and that's a challenging approach, which all comes down to what I think all of approaches should be. Within the first 45 seconds, after you've established I'm a magician and they want to see magic, they should see magic.
Absolutely.
So with there being a language barrier, there is no establishing I'm a magician.
You have
wanna
to just go right into
You come out, you do something, and they go, ooh.
Right.
That table specifically, it was that. It was this, what did we do wrong look? And I think I did a side steel color change right off the bat.
Right.
I didn't even have a card picked. I just changed a card, and one of the guys went, ooh.
Right.
And I kind of tapped his friend, and then I got into it as the sort of,
Yeah.
and then it was over.
Yeah.
But it was that initial of the breaking the ice. Who is this guy, right? We're invading their rented space.
Yeah.
So within 30 seconds, they went, I can understand that. That's a card, it changed, we get it now, you know?
Magic is a language of its own.
Exactly right.
I think it's also important to note the fact that you approach these people, but you controlled the situation of how you wanted it to go. You didn't give them a chance, even though they didn't speak English. You didn't give them a chance to say no.
And that was the force. That was
Yeah.
the force of showing off to the guys.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna let
Absolutely.
this, I'm not gonna fail at this.
I got the cop last night to let me film them. I mean, he's like, no, we usually don't. He's like, come on, man.
And the other three cops were like, nah, man, nah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, no, please don't.
There's something about, I mean, this challenge game seems silly and simple, but
I think it's important for growth, though, as a performer.
if you're going out and you're concerned, if you have this project, you're concerned about the approach. How do you approach people? How do you talk to them? Find a trusted friend and go play the approach game for 2 weeks. Take a Friday and a Saturday, do it 4 times, and genuinely play it. And you will get over that. Look, rejection is going to come. Really getting good at approaching people is becoming okay with being rejected.
Absolutely.
And as you get better, you'll get rejected less, but you have to realize some people don't want to see. And again, I can't stress enough that they aren't rejecting us, right? They're rejecting the situation at that time.
Sure.
At that time,
They don't know
their
who you
life does not want to
They don't
be
know who
bothered
you
with
are,
it.
and that's a huge thing. I mean, I think it's also important. It's not just challenging each other, but as a performer, challenge yourself. So if you want to get past your nerves, one of the things I started doing, I said, okay, I'm only going to do tricks with 4 aces tonight. I'm not going to have a deck of cards just have 4 aces in my pocket. Let's see what I can come up with. And now you're out of the place of trying to like the jitteries, because now you're thinking, okay, I'm in this place. What am I going to do? And now you're using the people in front of you as tools, kind of for your own selfish gain, but you're solving 2 problems at the same time. I'm only going to do tricks with 4 coins, 2 coins, a pen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've done that before.
Yeah, I've done the same thing.
Right?
With my, funny enough, on one of my residency at the cocktail bar, did exactly the same thing. But instead of using my props, I used the props out of my son's
There you
magic.
go.
That's cool.
Oh, that's
Little
great.
crappy
Oh, that's
plastic things.
Oh, that's great.
But it was just as an amazing gig as the rest of them.
You've now
great.
forced them to
Yeah.
say, okay, this I'm going to watch this because whatever this is, I want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
That's so good.
And just that alone It's such a great way to like approach people.
Yeah.
Has anybody ever seen these before? And everyone's like, I used to have one of those.
Yeah.
It's a great call.
That's
So you're
really cool.
You're using a very familiar toy-like magic prop to ask for an invitation to a conversation.
But with
once they say, "Yo, I have that," as a matter of fact, let me show you something cooler with it.
And then they go, well, that doesn't do what mine does.
Exactly. Yeah.
But you can easily do some amazing things with those like little magic props.
That's great.
Yeah.
I like that.
Because nobody ever like,
That's brilliant.
sits and learns them when they're little kids.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
play with the bits.
Yeah.
So let's talk about. We've talked about restaurants. To sum up restaurants, it is go and approach, right? You're getting paid to do it. You go and approach the people, you feel them out. You humanize yourself. Don't lead with the magic. Don't walk up with your card spread and say pick a card.
the worst.
It's extremely off-putting.
Don't sit in a corner and just start doing cardistry.
And hope
hoping,
exactly.
Please come to me and ask me to see a trick.
Well, you won't get hired.
No, it's horrible.
If that's the way you're,
and you're just standing around.
I guess it doesn't matter if you're being hired or not. Waiting, there is, when you work a trade show, sometimes you can get away with springing cards and flourishing, and someone will come up.
That's different. Trade show in a bar, like a
It's also the least effective way to do it.
Absolutely.
It's 1 out of 100 people that stop. So,
Hey, why you got the cards out?
yeah, are you gambling?
I'm so happy.
Exactly.
Let me go on my spiel now, right? Yeah.
I think for restaurants, the key is that you do the approach, you walk up and humanize yourself and ask permission.
Yeah.
Hey, my name's Adam. I'm a professional entertainer for the restaurant. I'm not asking for any money. It's an offering. We want to make a better ambiance for you and your guests. Would you mind if I showed you a trick? Yes or no?
A great thing I used to use in the cocktail bar was I start off with a splash bottle production, and I used to do it with Tom Wright's version where he uses a coin and a silk, and it's like a little game that you play. And I used to do that. And I used to go with the cloth over my wrist, so I used to look like a waiter because I used to have my seats on.
Absolutely.
So I used to go to the table and say, "Oh guys, I know a friend of mine, Perseus Archimanis. He told me to do this, and it works perfectly." He used to go up to the table and say, "Oh hi guys, you all having a good night? We'll get you some drinks. We've got an amazing magician here tonight. Would you like him to come to your table?" They're like, "Oh yeah." Walk off, then come straight
Oh,
to
that's
Great.
so smart.
Go straight into it, and
That's really smart.
That's beautiful.
So let me reiterate what you just said. You walk up, regardless of the trick, you walk up looking like a waiter, and you come up and say, "Is everything okay?"
Yeah.
They might say, "No, we need another soda." Great, we'll handle that. Part of your job, right?
Yeah.
And then you throw in, "Hey, just so you know, we have probably the world's best magician."
Yeah, you got to play it up.
so
Like
good.
genuinely,
Yeah.
he might make it to. If he can get around here, would you want to see him?
Right.
And they say yes, and then you come right back a minute or 30 seconds
Or I
later.
used to go around and come the other side of the table.
It's so brilliant. Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome, dude. I really love that. That's Perseus's?
Yeah.
That's
brilliant.
so that's for restaurant. There you go, guys. I mean, if you're nervous about approaching, if you're nervous about talking to someone, put a thing over your arm, walk up, pretend to be a waiter,
Brilliant.
ask if they want to see it. If they say no, guess what? They didn't reject you.
That's
They
right.
rejected this
They
fictitious magician.
Rejected a waiter.
Brilliant. Awesome. Let's move on to the next topic. Great. We've talked about restaurants. Great tip from Duane. If you are nervous of approaching at a restaurant, that would solve it immediately. The other parts are just be yourself, be friendly, and ask for their permission. So let's move into another environment where a lot of people would be nervous. Now, a lot of times if you're hired to these events, you've probably gotten over the nerves, but it's always good to look at these type of performing environments to address what might make you nervous in different groups. So the next one I want to talk about is weddings. Weddings, I know, are massive in the UK.
Yeah.
They're pretty good here. There's a good market here. Weddings, in my opinion, are the end-all, be-all, best performing environment for a close-up magician.
Absolutely.
Yep.
You've got 100 to 500 people that genuinely, usually they don't know each other. Few groups will know each other, but these are the bride and groom's extended network. So you got a bunch of people in an area that are supposed to have a good time, and they don't know how to do that, right? They're going, well, she's pretty and the food's going to be in a few hours. We'll get another drink, and it is the perfect environment to come up and say, "I'm the hired entertainer. It's nice to meet you." So for me, if you're nervous about approaching, book a couple weddings.
Yeah. It
you know?
forces you. You have no choice.
And then it's such an inviting. You can have the 95-year-old grandma or the
They're not gonna
4-year-old
say
daughter.
no.
And,
That's right.
If you go to a table and say, "Oh, Gary and Julie have hired me to come and entertain you today," nobody will say no.
It's almost an obligation at that
That's
point.
right, yeah.
It's their wedding.
Yeah.
Oh, I was hired. So I don't have much to say about weddings.
It's a gift to it's a gift from the bride and groom
Yep.
to their family.
Exactly.
That's what you are.
Exactly.
You're a gift to them. Yeah.
Weddings are a perfect opportunity to
I
practice
agree.
your approach.
And everybody goes to a wedding for a good time.
Yep.
There's nobody there who's going to be like, no, not today.
But the reality is a lot of them don't have a good time because they don't know everyone. There's that 2-hour photo period where no one knows what to do.
Yeah.
But you're right. They show up going, I either want to find my next partner, right?
Right.
Guy or girl,
Right.
or I'm going to a wedding to have a good time.
Yeah.
Also, it's really interesting because you really can focus on your different sets of material. You don't have to do the same set to every single one.
Yeah.
You get to experiment now. So now everybody gets to see something different.
Yeah.
It's so, and they start talking.
Yep.
And then an hour in, they're like, "That's the magician. Hey, come to my table." Oh, absolutely. Wait, blah, 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 blah. You
So-
are just a celebrity. You're a celebrity
yeah.
in that realm. Yeah.
As far as sticking with the approach theme, if you want to work on your approach, if you want to practice it, put some effort into getting booked at weddings.
Yeah.
Go to a bridal outfit place where they sell dresses or something. Make friends with the manager. Whatever it is, find a way to market yourself to weddings. Do 50 weddings and you will understand the approach. Hey, you're basically going up to somebody, saying who you are and offering them something.
You will be a great performer and a great close-up guy if you do that. I agree.
Let's change topics. Weddings, again, are pretty self-explanatory, but I do want to talk about how you approach. We're going to save the street for last because basically most of the questions I get, and this is over the span of 7-10 years, I'm sure you can attest, are younger kids wanting to approach kids
Absolutely.
on the street or in their high school.
Yeah.
We're going to save that for last, and there's a lot of work on that. But we'll talk about one that I do probably the most, which would be corporate work or trade shows, which both have a very similar feel to them. These are business people that are usually smart, and there's one or the other. They're either very insecure or they're very secure, and they will have drastically different reactions to approach. So I'll ask you guys first, and then I have kind of a lot of work on how I gauge them, how I approach them, and things I say. Do you have any ideas, thoughts on approaching in a corporate environment, let's say a cocktail strolling type hour? Obviously, corporate work on stage, there is no approach. But let's say it's a VIP award ceremony banquet, and there's a 2-hour strolling set, and these are the vice presidents of all of their most important clients. These are the heavy-hitting people that could change your life if you did the right trick to them.
Is there a bar in this place?
Yeah, cocktail hour.
Okay.
Yep.
That's where I start. 100%. I'll get a gauge now from everybody else at the bar.
So let's set the scene. We are at the Wardorf, whatever that Estonia expensive hotel is. They've rented out a banquet room. There's a bar on the north side, on the south side. There's one bartender behind it, and it's a little kiosk type bar. You've got 2 hours to kill.
Absolutely. So I'll start at the bars. Get the feel of everybody. People are drinking, having a good time. Beautiful. Now I've created soldiers to go out.
So explain, when you start at the bar, you hang out by the, because the events I work, you're not getting behind that bar.
No, not behind the bar.
So you just hang out there.
Absolutely.
Once they get their drink, you grab them as they're
I start
mingling on
talking
the
to
side.
them.
Okay,
What
gotcha.
are you here for? This guy. Okay, what do they go? What are you here for? I'm actually hired to entertain, the magician, boom, boom. Oh my God, I love magic, boom, boom. Come to our table, whatever. Yep, go. Let me talk.
Let me stop you,
Yeah.
because you just said something that is exactly it. Hey, what are you here for? Blah, blah, blah. What you're really saying is you're approaching them, not as a magician,
Right.
as an attendee.
Yep.
Hey, I'm Justin, what's your name? Nice to meet you, like a human being
Yep.
would, and the magic is secondary. One of the best people I've ever seen do this is Daniel Garcia. Danny will spend 15 minutes with a person before they know he's a magician.
Absolutely right.
And he almost, and now granted, that doesn't fly in my world. If my client sees that, they're gonna go, stop talking, start performing.
Right.
So there is a fine line in there.
Yeah.
But the way you just said it, hey, my name's Justin, what are you here for?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm with so-and-so, so. They're gonna say, what are you here for?
Right.
I'm the hired. That's a great approach technique, especially in the corporate world. Ask about them, care about them, and wait for them to reciprocate
Absolutely.
that. And once they do, you're in.
And so now you're creating soldiers at each bar. So let's say there's 2 bars, right? So now I do a couple there, I do a couple there. Now I've got like 3 or 4 people that have seen me, and they go back to their table, and now they start talking. And now it's just, they find me. They
I
come
love
up,
that.
and then I say, "Get over here!" Oh, we absolutely.
It builds and builds and builds. What is everyone looking at? What's happening?
Exactly.
And corporate cocktail, that's why, excuse the shameless plug, but Pyro Wallet
Absolutely.
at corporate cocktail, you do your first bit.
Beautiful, by the way.
Someone comes out, you have a card, even if they don't ask for a card.
That's right.
You've done your first bit, and I want that. You guys both know, when you've got a gig and people are coming to you, not only does it feel good and make your job easier, that event planner, heart is singing.
Oh, absolutely.
They're sitting back going, what is that noise? Bill Malone said this. He does that Bill Malone, and he goes all around the event because he wants that event planner to hear everyone going, this guy's just getting his name yelled. It's genius is what it is.
You know, have you ever seen Stand Up Magic by Tom Wright?
Yeah, it's very good.
That I tried it, and well, I bought the DVD, watched it, blah blah blah, and I was so nervous about trying it. But once you do, it makes such a difference, because when you go to a table and make everyone stand up, it blocks everything. Nobody can see what you're doing. All they're hearing is this cheering going on. Then everyone starts looking over and being like, I want to do that.
I want to be a part of that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
then you go to another table, and now they really want to, and then everyone starts talking about it.
Yeah.
And then once you like, you know, once they've had dinner and there's some speeches and stuff, and you do your little wait. You know, people going back into the bar, then they start asking you, "Oh, when are you coming to our table?"
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You don't even need to really approach them. They're just waiting for you now.
That's when it doesn't feel like work anymore.
Yeah. And there's loads of different things you can do like that. It's not just like the stand-up.
The Pyro Wallet for me has been, so I'll kill and you might not kill the first group, whatever. Let's say it's the second group, whoever it is, even if they don't ask for a business card. I pull it out, and in that group, they're gonna go do that again. Perfect. Here's one for you. I pull it out again, and I turn a bit away from the group so the rest of the crowd can see. And that's all it takes.
Yeah.
Because now you've invited the people who like magic to ask you.
Yeah.
Because before, we are nervous, but the funny thing is, in the approach, it's like a rattlesnake, right? We're so scared of rattlesnakes. They're just as scared, if not more scared of us. Like when I had a great piece of advice that the guy said to me, you get this all the time, right? You do something, someone's been watching, and you know they're feeling the magic, and they come up after and go, that's really good. You're like, I know that when you pick two cards up as one, but you did it really well. Excuse me. I used to think, screw you.
Right.
Piss off, you don't know how it's done.
Right.
And a friend of mine said, you're missing the point. The reason they're saying that to you is because that's the only in they have to relate to you. They're genuinely coming up to you and trying to say, hey, I know a little bit of magic too. I just want to talk to you. That's my connection. That's the way we're related.
Yeah.
As opposed to what I used to think is, oh, you're cocky. You think you know all my magic because you caught a glimpse of a double lift, or you saw on YouTube that two cards can be picked up as one. And he was like, dude, the people who come up to you and say those things, just talk to them for 3 or 4 minutes, see what happens. And he's right. They become the best conversations, because all they're looking for is a way to say, I want to relate to this magic and I don't know how. So, I know two cards is one thing. Most magicians will be like, oh yeah, great, yeah, no, but how did I do it? Or it's a confrontation. Whereas if you just go, oh, you know about a double lift?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Do you do magic too? Watch their face. Because then in their head they go, the invitation worked. And it changed the game for me, dude.
You're absolutely right.
Clearly there are hecklers, and those are different than what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the people who politely say, hey, you'll see in this project, there was an Indian guy. And he came off as a prick, and I went at him, right? I heckled back at him. Look at my thighs, you're a skeptic, you're a septic, whatever. At the end of all that performing, he came up and was that was my fault for not reading it right. I was all in my own head, there's a crowd here, and all that guy wanted to do was be like, I'm relating to you, I know some magic too.
And you were winning him over without you knowing it at that time.
Right.
Yeah, I saw the transformation.
And we could have stopped and, so the whole point to it is, in any approach, just make sure that the ones that come up and may catch something, or it feels like they're heckling or saying they know, transform the way you think about that and go, oh, this person loves it so much they're trying to find any connection they can.
Yeah,
that's great advice.
So weddings are across the board pretty simple. Restaurants, again, you're humanizing yourself, letting them know you're not asking for money, and asking for their permission. Corporate world, as far as a cocktail hour, finding the people who look fun and then working that into trying to get other people to invite you into their world. Or the ones that love magic, you'll know, I saw you doing magic. And you'll see, once you get one or two applauded crowds, as you work your way around, you know the look of, is he gonna come to us? And then you go, did you want to see some magic? There is no approach at that point.
That's right.
At that point, it's that look. It's that, or they're coming up to you. That's where you know you're in the zone, right? This isn't work anymore. I'm just walking around with a bunch of friends that go, my turn?
Right.
Yes, it is, you know? So as far as corporate, I think one cool piece of advice is, first and foremost, is get recognized quickly and early. Let people know, oh, there's a magician there. Pyro Wallet works great for that. Anything where you can elevate yourself on a platform, this idea of stand-up magic, make the table stand up. Great, you're the center, they're clearly applauding at you. One little bit I always do at the end is, it sounds silly, but I try and get everyone to wave to me as I'm leaving. So they're sitting and I say, thank you all so much. And as I walk away, I wave, because if the event host looks over, you have a table of people going like this, waving to you. It almost induces, oh, he got a standing ovation. It's a trick. I don't know if it's effective or not, but I've done it for years and I enjoy doing it. With that, let's transition into trade show. Approaching at a trade show is, you're not approaching, you're calling, right? You're basically busking for a lot of money, okay? Trade shows, people are paid to be there. So they either have to be there or they want to be there to learn what the new innovative technology in their space is. So there's a few caveats in trade shows. First and foremost, what demographic is at that trade show? For instance, I've done Concrete World multiple times. Concrete World is one of the largest trade shows on the planet, but it is all blue collar. These are people that are doing HVAC. These are people that are pouring concrete. These are labor workers. And it is, for some reason, the hardest trade show I've ever done, continuously year after year. I don't have an approach that works for that. These are, I'm very generalizing and I don't want to stereotype, but these are, they're not the most educated audiences I perform for.
So blue collar kind of.
Lower education scale, blue collar hard workers, and
Steak, baked potato salad.
a lot of them have lower self-esteem, it seems like, because they don't, that is a very confrontational approach. You're not going to fool me. I'm not here to see some magic boy.
Interesting.
I'm not, and
wow.
I haven't found a solution to it, so I have to practice this approach. I'm actually doing this trade show when we leave here. We're here for a week filming. I'll be going to do a very blue collar trade show when I'm done. It gut wrenches me because I know what's going to happen. 3 straight days of rejection, right? But it's that forcing myself. What can I do different this time to approach this group, right?
It's really weird because, you know, I had a really strange situation happen to me about, I don't know, probably about 4 or 5 years ago. And I was performing for somebody, a group, and you know, it's one of those things where they go, oh, you gotta go, I'm over with my friends, you gotta come with me.
Yeah. You gotta show my friends this.
So I used to do it all the time, right? I'd go up to them and all of a sudden, it's a totally different atmosphere. Like, they're just like, they're not impressed at all, there's no reaction. Yeah. And I'm like, what is going on? And it kept happening over and over again. I was driving home one day and I realized what happened. The first group is experiencing you for the first time. When that group now says to you, I have another group, I have a set of friends, I want you to come over and do magic for it, okay? Yeah, I'll be there, whatever. They're going back to them and saying, hey, I got this magician, he's coming over. But that's not what they hear.
Yeah.
They hear, I just saw something really, really weird. I have no clue how it was done. Maybe you can figure it out. They're now in challenge mode. The first group wasn't in challenge mode.
Interesting.
So now when I come up and I do maybe the same set, the same lines, the same whatever, no reactions.
Interesting.
Because they're like, okay, all right, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And okay. That's how I've actually gotten caught more times in that situation. So now I say, you know what? I just got here. I'm going to eat, get a couple drinks or whatever. If they're still here, maybe.
Yep.
I don't do it anymore. No. I'd wait for the anticipation.
Interesting.
Well, they're not going to be here for another, well, maybe next time.
Cool.
Yeah. But you get that like with the blue collar guys. Like it's interesting because you get it instantly.
Again, a trade show approach is different because you're not approaching, you're calling.
Right.
But the point I'm trying to make is you're going to be in environments where it's still difficult to approach and you'll be forced to, right? It's like starting out fresh. You have to just do it. You have to just get through it. You have to just do it. I don't have another tip or trick on that except, some audiences are tougher than others, and trade show puts you in front of, unfortunately, you don't get to say, I guess you could say, I'm not going to do blue collar type trade shows, but you'd be out a lot of work doing that, How do you handle approaching like a blue collar, hard working guy, or do you not see any sort of difference in them?
See, I think those type of guys at a wedding are going to be, especially if they're with their family and stuff, are going to be totally different to when they're
totally agree.
Something to do with work. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
And I've never done a trade show, so I can't comment on that.
Gotcha.
And so I've never really performed for that type of person.
Cool. Yeah. For me, the only advice I can give on that, if you're out there doing trade shows and you're at a trade show where it feels like the audience doesn't want to see the magic, fight through it, trying to find a way to connect with them. The one I was working with was GPS Insight. It was a tracking device that we put on fleet vehicles. So my client's goals was to find out anybody that had more than 2 vehicles in their company. That's a good target for them. So instead of the magic, I just started being a trade show guy. Hey, what do you do for work? How many vehicles you got? You got more than 2? You got to come talk to us. I'm just fulfilling the client's need, but I'm not doing magic. And the point of that is sometimes you have to know your audience and know that the magic isn't going to be the most important thing, and you got to find another way to connect to them. If you're forced to approach somebody and they don't want to see the magic, but you still have to engage, find a connecting.
That's a great idea.
Whatever that connector is.
Yeah.
Dude, that's a sick tie. Did you get that at
I literally just thought I had a tie on.
I'm like, and
asshole.
you do.
Yep.
Yeah. But anything. The strongest thing you can do, in my opinion, to meet a stranger is compliment them in a genuine way.
Yeah.
Not you have beautiful eyes. Find something that you think is cool about somebody and say it. All right, so we touched a little bit on trade shows, the blue collar aspect of it. I want to talk about the glorious parts of the approach in a trade show. Tech audiences for me and cannabis audiences. I do a lot of cannabis conventions and a lot of tech conventions. The best audience in the world, and it's the perfect single out one fun person, right? That approach technique works across the board. Find one person fun, build a crowd off it. You'll see in this footage over and over. We tried to approach different people here in Las Vegas. We tried to get a plethora of different demographics and ages, but what happens is we stop one person and within 2 minutes it turns into 2, then 5, then 10. So in full transparency, the approach that you will be seeing on this project is very Vegas-based, is very street performance-based, because that's the main question I get asked. Hey, I want to learn magic, I want to practice, how do I approach people on the street? At a trade show, the same mentality works. You stop one person who's fun and friendly and let that build. Now you have to do your part in building that, and all it is mid-performance, you're still approaching. And what I mean by that is a very busker mentality, right? I've got you and you. You're into the magic. You're gonna help me get more people, but you're not gonna do it without me approaching them. Yeah. So as I'm performing, I'm still approaching. Boom, boom, boom. Ma'am, do you wanna see something really amazing? And this helps sort of take the sting out of the rejection, because you're already performing. This person is either a fun person or not. That's the thing. That's the way I think of it. Are they going to be a fun person or not? Do you want to see something amazing? Okay, no worries. Right back to you guys to perform. Hey, no, trust me, you're going to want to see this. And now you're just pulling them in. You're approaching them almost like a cat call. And a few different approaches.
I like that.
You can. I will be honest. In trade shows, if people walk away from me, I have some banter lines. Do you want to see something amazing? No? Okay, I hope you have a very unamazing day, sir. And it's walking a line, but I can sometimes pull them back. If you say a funny line, they'll be like, all right, dude, what do you got?
Right.
You got to be careful. You can offend people, and so you walk that line carefully.
Yeah.
But it's okay, right? That's the busking mentality of it. They're walking away. throw something back. So the whole point of it is, in the good trade shows, it's about stopping the fun person and letting that build. Because if it's a fun audience who has a high self-esteem, high confidence, they're not going to feel like, oh, this guy's going to trick me. They understand what this is. It's entertainment. Heck yeah. I'm paid to be here. Sure, I'll watch some entertainment.
Right.
And then just be good. Have a good 30-second trick that in 30 seconds at any point, and for me it's a color change. The easiest thing in the world. Boom, control the card to the top. Is that it? No? Watch. No, watch. Boom. Now you have something to.
Yeah.
Now I've done my part to justify your time, right? Within 30 seconds. They go, okay. So have that 30-second bit. Or you guys know, you both have 3, 4, 5 of them, right? One with a coin, one with a joke line, one with a whatever. That, I think, works across the board, but works specifically well in trade shows where people are fun. And I've personally found it's the cannabis trade shows, it's the tech trade shows, it's the trade shows of the people that usually are a little higher up the financial ladder because they have more confidence. And that's just my opinion. That's what I've found over the years of doing it. So that idea, find somebody who's fun and build that person's energy into a bigger crowd.
Well, they're kids
of
at heart, aren't they? I mean, look at their tech and cannabis. I mean, these are our people. I mean, these are the creative people. These are the dorks. These are the nerds. These are the people. You know what I mean?
Engineers.
Absolutely.
People say, oh, I don't want to perform for engineers and for scientists.
Oh, I love doing that.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
It's the best ever.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And sometimes they're some of the people who will reject you the most. Like, well, yeah, I'm science. I don't believe in magic.
Right.
And
That's where that 30-second comes in, right?
Give me 30 seconds.
and
Yep.
just do something that
Yeah.
you know, makes their brain skip a.
And also lets them know, I don't really think I'm magic. Like, I'm not magical.
There's no supernatural aspect.
But you're an engineer, and I'm going to show you some stuff you can't engineer in your brain.
And you'll want to go, okay, maybe it's magic.
Exactly.
Right.
Well, sure, now I'll watch.
Right.
For tech and those kind of people, that 30-second grabber is essential.
I'm an anti-theist, okay, and I've performed for atheists, and I've had atheists look at me and go, "Shit, maybe there's a God."
Yeah, never mind at this point.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm going to buy a Bible on the way home. Just check.
I don't know. Just maybe.
Yeah.
It's such a great moment. Yeah.
So that's, trade shows are their own beast. There isn't really an approach, but I wanted to touch on them because I do a lot of them. And, there is an approach to a trade show. It's not approaching in the sense that we would think, but it is. They're approaching you, and you have to use the same sort of thought mentality, right? So we've talked about restaurants, we've talked about trade shows, we've talked about corporate events. One other bit on corporate events is keep in mind that same mentality plays if there's a guy-girl. Just because it's a corporate event doesn't mean they're not a couple, that he's not trying to win her over, and maybe it might not be romantically, but that might be the vice president.
Sure.
So any two-person is always a gauge. What's the conversation look like? You'll know if it's you don't approach that, right? You don't walk up to a heated, in-depth conversation unless it's a small group and the corporate planner has asked that you hit everyone. Then it's the same thing,
right? That tripped me out, dude.
What?
You were just talking. You didn't talk anymore.
I'll dub something with some Chinese.
That was amazing.
What do you mean? I
That
didn't talk
tripped me
anymore.
out.
I have no idea what you're talking
When you were
about.
miming.
Oh, gotcha,
Like you
gotcha.
were just something.
Gotcha.
like,
yeah.
Oh, what's
No, I told you the water was
really-
not
dude,
water.
that just tripped me out, dude. I was like, and I in my head, I'm like, should I mention this to them? Did he?
Oh, the sound's gone.
Dude. And then you said what? And you said what? I'm like. That was really good.
So what I was trying to say is that always a two-person crowd is approached in its own fashion, right?
Yeah.
But it's the same for me. It's the same always. I introduce myself. I'm friendly. I ask about them. I connect with them on whatever level. Great eyes, great shirt, really cool. What do you do? What are you here for? So I think that sums up trade shows, corporate, and the restaurants. I started with kid shows. I think we don't think heavily on how do you approach kids, and I don't anymore and haven't for years. But there's one piece of advice or tip that I'd like to throw out, which I've done forever, and it's helped me, which is just to get to their level, actual physical level.
Yeah.
So I do a lot of my magic on my knees for kids, because it's super intimidating for a child to look up. So that's really the only advice kids want to see magic. That's a given. You don't have to work too hard approaching that. For me, the only tips I have on approach for children are to get to their level, so you can look them in the eyes, speak a little softer towards them, because you have to realize how nervous these kids are, and just be appropriate. It should go without saying, but we're going to say it anyway.
That's a great thing at like parties and weddings and stuff like that. You've got kids running around, the adults are always watching where they are. If you gather all the kids up, and like normally I'll take them into a corner, I'll sit on cross-legged on the floor, they'll all sit in front of me, and for like 30 minutes I'll just have fun with them all, do sponge balls and all that sort of stuff. The adults love it. And just
you're a babysitter now too, though.
Well,
That is a really good tip, because at weddings, one of the things that I hate is, show my kid a trick, and then that kid follows you around the whole wedding.
It happens every single time.
But if you're saying, hey, at 11:30, I do all the kids are going to meet here. Find me there at 11:30, and now you can get the kids out of the way. Adults are happy, kids are happy, and you can say, hey, that's the kids show. I need to work, so you're not allowed to follow me around for the rest of the time. You know, that's a great tip.
But I promise I'll come back to you guys.
Exactly.
That's a great
right before we leave, we'll do another little show for you guys.
Great idea, man.
Yeah.
Cool.
Nice. Good idea, brother.
Any tips on kids for you, or it's probably been, 20 years since you've done a
Look,
kids?
I mean, I used to start with kids shows and all that stuff when I was growing up, and I loved them. I mean, I cut my teeth on them. You learn a lot by performing for kids. Of
course.
They teach you a lot.
Yeah.
I personally don't do kid shows anymore, because that's not my path. That's not what I'm, where I'm going in life, whatever. And that's a really good point. Is that if you know you're not doing kid shows, you shouldn't be doing kid shows. Don't book kid shows, because then you'll have that time that you could be doing corporate stuff and the stuff that you're trying to do with your path. You won't be doing that. You're not investing back into what you think you're supposed to be doing.
Sure.
So I don't do kid shows anymore.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Next topic I'd like to talk to you guys about, again, with the umbrella of approach. How do you approach? Is
Can I add something real quick?
Of course.
I don't do kid shows, but I will perform for kids.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're not targeting kid birthday parties.
Absolutely. I'm not going
Sure.
to me. No, I would absolutely.
Sure. The private event. So somebody has hired me, and it is a 68-year-old woman's birthday party who loves magic, and there's 50 people there, and they want me to come entertain for an hour or two. I don't think we need to talk too much on the approach there, because for me, again, that is a honey hole.
Yep.
Hey, come do my private party. It's a family event. There's this many people.
They know you're going to be there.
You still got to approach, right?
Sure.
You're still walking up to people. They either and it's funny, a lot of my clients hire me to be a mystery guest. So they don't even tell people there'll be a magician there.
Yeah.
I don't see the draw of that, but it's happened a lot. So let's say that's the situation. No, because it's great. The person knows you, and they brag about you, and they say, hey, a guy who fooled Penn and Teller is going to be your best magician in the world. We spent a lot of money. We want everyone to know. Gold mine. You're walking in as a rock star. All you have to do is be a damn rock star, right? The other option is they don't know you're here. I want you to pretend to be a guest. That's hard, because now we're right back to that approach. How do I interrupt a stranger, introduce myself, and get them to like the magic? Two things I want to say on it. Again, anything like a pyro wallet, anything like stand up, applaud, any of those instant attention getters, in a small party like that, usually there's less than 100 people.
Right.
It takes one or two of those attention getters for everyone now to go, that's the magician.
Exactly.
And you're good. The second thing
You're not gonna be a
is
mystery, though.
exactly. Exactly. And the VIP guest or the client doesn't need to know that.
No.
When they pitch you this mystery guest, oh, great idea, I do it all the time, people love it. What they don't know is 10 minutes in, everyone's going to know I'm there.
Exactly.
It's fine. The second thing at the private party is you will get a lot of romantic approaches. I've found in my performing a lot of the private parties, there are couples there. They're either married or they're figuring out if they're going to be. Use that to your advantage. I'll go to private parties and specifically find a couple. You're going to see on this project specifically, a lot of times one of my go-to openers is, how do you guys know each other? And what does that do? First and foremost, it can be very awkward for them, because if they're dating and they haven't said that boyfriend-girlfriend yet, it's an interesting situation to put them in.
And one says one thing, they're like, oh,
exactly.
Oh, wow, okay.
If that happens, don't let it happen. Because if they're married, they're going to say it instantly. If they're friends, they're going to say it instantly. If there's a slight hesitation at all, kill that hesitation.
Yeah.
And go, you know what, how long have you known each
Right,
other?
right.
That's all you have to say. How do you guys know each other? We're married, we're friends, we're coworkers. Those will be the 3 that you get instantly. If there's a hesitation on either party, this is what happens. Magician's talking, how do you guys know each other? As soon as you see that, interrupt and go, well, you know what, how long have you known each other?
Right.
And let that
they
be.
go, whew.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they go, oh, we've known each other 3 or 4 years. Oh, what do you guys do? And now I just want to see what their connection is, because the trick is, what sort of connection do you have?
It's also fun when they play off each other. They're like, well, we've been kind of like, I've been trying to, you know what I mean?
You just feel it.
You go, bro. You
Feel it out.
You can feel it out, yeah.
Here's a perfect example. We were on the Strip, or we were on, we were in Vegas performing. Hey, you mind if we we love magic, Great, how do you guys know each other? You mind if we film this? Oh, no, I ain't gonna be on camera, man. I'm married, this is my side chick.
It's the funniest thing.
What do you say to that, right?
Honesty,
Like, so, okay, cool. Now we know your situation. Now we know our approach. So you will get some humor in there. The one thing I want to stress is to never make someone uncomfortable. That question is a gold mine for me, but it can make them feel uncomfortable if you're not paying attention. So pay attention. If you see it, well, how long have you, and then kill it that way. So private party approach to me is, you're going to have those 2 offs. You're also going to have the people that don't want to be there, and you'll see them. They're either sitting down, they look a little bored, and it is a crapshoot. They're either going to absolutely love that you sat down, or they don't want to be there because something's really heavy going on in their life. Either way, you approach them the same way. You introduce yourself, what you're there for, you're humble, connect with them, and read them. That's the approach, right?
It's a melting pot, isn't it? Because you're bringing all these people from different walks of life into this private party situation, and you really get to know human responses at that point. It's really fascinating.
There's a political thing at a lot of parties where, you know, this is the VIP. There's also family events are fun, because families are families. Those are the goal. I will do those to the day I die. It's just fun. They want you there. They all know each other. There's love in the room. It's just a good environment. The private parties that are hey, you know, this is the 100 people coming. I do one every single year in Rhode Island, and these people are filthy rich. So their party isn't just people we know. It's just like they throw parties.
Right. Like a mix of time.
Exactly. So it's a mingling, networking thing where people don't know each other. At that, our approach is a tool. We're there for the client, and our approach is the icebreaker. So our job is quite literally to get people talking together. And for me, I don't lie about that. I approach a group and say, hey, I'm the hired entertainer. I'm really just supposed to help people come together. And you know the easiest way? Magic. Let me show you guys something cool. I'm not allowing them to say we don't want to see anything. I'm saying, hey, you're at John's house. He hired me to do this.
You have no choice. Yeah, you have no choice.
Sweet. That's like a bouncer saying, I got to check your ID.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Before you get into the club.
And that almost always works, unless it's a heated conversation and they politely say, now's not a great time. Great. You swallow the rejection. They're not rejecting me. They're rejecting the situation and the timing. Cool. Moving on. But I use that in the house parties as, I was hired to do this, so ready?
I like the honesty.
Because we're doing this, you know? And then they want networking. They want groups coming by. So I'm saying to them, oh, what we're all here for, I'm just the conduit for. So here, I'll show you what I mean. Yeah, no, come here, check this out. And that's the approach where I'm just taking charge and doing what I'm paid to do. I'm not being timid or shy. You don't get paid to be timid or shy. And if you are, you're not to where you need to be. So private party approach, trade show approach, corporate approach, you should be up to the level where you get past that and you know how to approach. So all of that said, that brings us sort of to the concluding part and kind of answering the question that I'm asked the most. I'm a 13-year-old kid. I want to get better at magic, but I'm nervous to go perform. Okay? That's where I'm at. I'm 13 years old. I love everything about magic. I'm good, but I'm scared to death. I only perform for my mom and for my friends, and I'm nervous. What do I do? How do I go out and how do I start getting better at what I love because I'm nervous?
I think it comes down to like just a handful of things, and one is knowing your material. So you're not thinking, oh, what have I got to do next? And
I think number one, absolute number one.
100%. So
front and back, cold.
Because if you're trying to perform, and also think about what everything is doing, what
Right.
you're going to do next.
Right.
Your performance is going to suffer.
Yeah.
You need to know your routines.
And
back to front.
not even your performance, your nerves are going to be, that's the number one reason, excuse me, number one fear in the world, public speaking.
Right.
Right? And
Number 2 is dying.
Is dying.
So
Best line ever.
Yeah.
So
most people would rather be in the coffin than actually speaking.
So most people at a funeral, most people would rather be in the coffin than give the eulogy. Really, really great point is the preparedness of it. The number one fear in the world is public speaking, and I think there's 2 reasons for it. The first is, as humans, we have a pack mentality, right? We want to be accepted. That's one of the biggest instinctive urges we have, is acceptance, because when we could be accepted into the pack, we had a better chance of surviving. So being rejected is inherently one of the biggest fears, especially if you're on stage speaking. They're not rejecting just you, they're rejecting your thoughts and what you stand for. It's a very hard thing to get over. Then, being nervous, if you're not prepared, if you don't know your speech or your presentation or the moves, front and back, now on top of that nerve of pack mentality, you've got the nerves of, am I going to f this trick up halfway through?
Right.
And it's a justified concern because you haven't practiced the material or you don't know your script. Being prepared for whatever you're doing is the number one best way, besides doing it, is the number one best way to kill nerves. Be 100% prepared. And then that feeling isn't nervousness, it's energy. But if you go out unprepared, you're damn right that's nervousness, and it's justified nervousness, because you're about to do something that you shouldn't be doing. That's what it comes down to. You shouldn't be performing it. Well, here's the catch-22 then. How do I get to that point of confidence or of perfection, which we know doesn't exist, but the path there? How do I get that effect so good that I am confident that I can perform without going out and performing, right? How do I get to the level? That's the easy answer, is that you perform for your trusts. You perform for your mastermind groups, for your other magician friends that are honest, that aren't just going to say, that's good, but here's how to improve it, that are, you and I can jam like that. You and I can jam like that. Because you're not trying to one-up me or say, I knew that already. You're trying to help me better my routine. So your friends, your family, if your family can be that honest, look, you only need 4 routines to do 2 hours of walk-around magic. Perfect those 4 and do it with your close people, because like you said, preparedness is the number one way that you can go on stage with the confidence you need to give a presentation or approach properly or whatever it is. I think that is hands down the answer. Know your shit so well that the only nerves you have are because you're excited you're getting to perform.
Were you going to say something?
No.
Okay. And I think it's interesting because we're really kind of cheating our fight or flight system, is what it is. Because when you get nervous on all this stuff, your mind is saying there's danger, there's danger, there's danger.
Exactly.
There's no danger.
But
we're getting tricked, right? And then we go, okay, we either push past this and go, okay, there's no danger, let's logically look at the situation, or we go, okay, yeah, there's danger, we want to move away. But now we're getting to this weird part with emotions and feelings. And like you said, adding on top of that all this other energy and stuff, you got to know your biological self, man. You have to know that. That goes a long way with approaching people.
Explain.
So, for the longest time, I would have this really hard time believing people wanted to see magic because I was reading body language wrong, right?
Interesting.
I thought that they didn't want to see. Again, the personal rejection, and then your body kicks in. You might have an anxiety attack because of what you're feeling right now, even though there's no danger. There's no danger at all. It goes back like, do I go into the bushes because I heard a sound and check it out, or do I go fuck that? I go away. Well, the people that go in the bushes when they hear a sound, they're not procreating anymore. You know what I mean? So you go, okay, I have to figure this out. So,
I think our danger, because that is danger. We do have that feeling, right? And your body has an internal clock. Forget everything else. Your body just has the hormones. I think that comes to this. There's a funny study talking about drug addiction, and they did it with rats on the hardest addicted drugs in the world, opium and heroin, right? And they did a study of the rats that were isolated from other rats staying addicted to opium and heroin forever. Rats that were in a community with other rats beat the addiction. So this whole study's point was to say addiction comes basically from isolation and loneliness.
Yes.
Depression, addiction, all these come from being alone and isolated.
Yeah.
When we're approaching and facing that rejection, that's our body saying, you're going to be isolated and alone.
That's
if you go up,
it's a tribal thing.
It is.
It's an old tribal thing.
It is. So it is genuinely a fight or flight.
Yes.
If I go up and put myself out there, they don't like me, I'm rejected, I'm going to be alone, I can't survive if I'm alone. Right?
Yeah.
All that's happening when you're going up to go, I want to show this chick a card trick. Right? And then you're a single dude.
Yeah.
She's a good looking girl. Now you add on to, well, if I don't get it, I can't procreate. It means I'm not here doing what I'm supposed to do on this earth. So it's a lot more than just walking up to a stranger, sucking it up, and doing it, right? So I think that's a really good.
You gotta know your biological self. Man.
Yeah. So preparedness, first and foremost, the stepping stones to getting there. Pick 3 to 4 routines that you want to do forever.
Yeah.
Because you will. If you're going to be a professional magician, you're going to have 4 routines that you do for the rest of your life. Pick those now. Yeah. Perfect them with your friends, your family, and your trusted magician friends. Then go out. You've known them so well that you're still going to have that nervousness, that fight or flight. And now you're at a point where you can say, I need to get my head out of my ass and just perform this. Because I've done all of what I'm supposed to do to get here, and now it's me offering these people some entertainment. They're going to take it or they're not. And they're not rejecting me. They're not saying, I don't like who you are. Get away from me. They're rejecting the situation in the time that it's being presented. That's it. Because you're a magician presenting something. I'm not ready to see a magician watching a magic trick for whatever reason.
I realize how important this project is now because, and you've had this before too, I know. Well, I don't know how to go on the street to get the reactions like you get, whatever. People don't understand, we have a camera crew. We have a whole, 15 minutes of fame, like Andy Warhol said, everybody wants that 15 minutes of fame. When there's a camera, they're in it. They want to be part of it, right? They don't have that. Whoever buys their stuff, they don't have that. So then they go out and do the same thing we're doing, and then they get rejected, and they're like, well, what's going on?
Great point.
That's one of the things. What you're doing here with this project is, and I'm sure you've had emails like this too, because of you performing, because of you teaching, I've now got the same reactions, and they don't have a camera crew. That really transcends, and that's what this project's all about, is showing people you can still get those same kind of reactions, same kind of performances and all that stuff, even without the camera. And that's
I love
the hardest part.
So
that's the hardest part. And they're doing it.
We are in Vegas. Were you going to say? Sorry, I didn't interrupt.
No, agreed.
So we are in Vegas. That's an amazing transition into what we're talking about, which is the meat of it, which is probably what most of you guys want to know. How do I get out on the street and start performing, right? How do I become the people I see on Instagram? How do I do all this? Well, exactly like you said, keep this in mind. The people you see have somebody following them with a camera, right? So
Sometimes 2 or 3.
Let's not bull. The approach here in Vegas, you use to your advantage. We have 2 camera guys with us, so we walk up and I say, nice to meet you, my name's Adam Wilber. Do you want to watch a free magic show? We're not asking for any money whatsoever. We're just filming some magic, looking for some honest reactions. That's the approach. They want to or they don't.
That's it.
Now you can't do that if you're going by yourself.
Unless
But
you're crazy.
what you can do is you could, or even, we've even said we're making a magic documentary. Would you like to be a part of it?
I like that. I think that's one of the best.
And everyone wants their fame. I look good on camera. I'd love to.
It was the cop. I mean, he got us.
So how do you do that without a camera? You do the exact same thing, right? There's no camera, and I walk up and I say, hey, my name's Adam Wilber. I'm a professional magician. I'm just going around doing tricks, not asking for any money. I'm just looking for genuine reactions for the tricks. Would you like taking a part in that? Hell yeah.
Absolutely.
Thanks. So you're doing the same thing. You're asking them a favor of their time. And yes, that might be a convoluted way to think of it because we are professional magicians. We're showing these people miracles. How is that? Why am I asking you for that?
Right.
Because we're invading their space.
Right.
We're going to them in their own time and saying, can you take some of your time so I can enlighten you and make your life better? They might not know that that's what's going to happen. But by me showing you world-class magic, and I'm not being arrogant. Some of my magic is world class.
Absolutely. 100%.
Most people's out there.
Some of it, not all.
Some of it, absolutely. But I'm saying to them, can I borrow your time to make your life better?
Yeah.
Without saying that. And it's okay if they say no to
I want to give you a
that.
gift, but you don't know what it is yet. Yeah.
If they say no, that's more than okay.
Yeah.
And some people will say no aggressively.
Yeah.
And it's still more than okay, because the one thing to always remember, you don't know what just happened or what
That's
they're
right.
about to walk into.
That's right.
You have no clue who they are, what their life circumstances are. All you're doing is making the world a better place by asking people for their time to better their lives.
Feels good.
And if you can know that going in, don't be nervous.
Yeah.
The only thing to be nervous about is that you might meet someone who's a prick. Well, guess what? This world has a lot of those people.
Yeah.
And you're gonna have to meet them and deal with them throughout life. So look, my name's Adam. I'm a professional magician. I'm out on the street looking for genuine reactions. Are you a fan of magic? You have 5 minutes, I could show you something. I am not asking for money. Now this is about an approach. This project's called an approach. If you're busking, there are better projects for you than this. I'm not gonna pretend to say, I'll teach you how to approach people in busk and make money. I'm not an advocate of ever asking my spectator for money. Whether it's a tip in a restaurant, it turns me off because I'm paid very well for what I do.
Right.
Don't tip me.
Right.
So I make it, especially on street magic, when you're by yourself, one of the first things I'll say, look, I'm genuinely not asking for money or tips at all. This is a totally free show. And I say that over and over, because anyone coming up to you on the streets at any time, what's your first instinct? Fuck, do I have any money on me?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Then put on top of that, imagine some kid comes up with a violin. Hey, can I play something for you quickly? I don't want to pay you to watch violin, you know?
Yeah.
But he may be the best violinist in the
Right.
world. And if he came up, you know, and said, hey, this is 100% free, I'm just practicing, can I play and you tell me if it's good? Hell yeah.
Absolutely.
I'll even show you a trick after,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So I think the approach, first and foremost, know your material. Know it so well that you can't be nervous with your hands shaking.
Right,
Right?
right.
Even when you know your material, that's still gonna happen. You're gonna be nervous, you're gonna shake. How do you get through that? How do you get through a routine knowing I'm probably gonna look like a bit of an idiot because my hands are shaking?
The only way for anybody to that is just go and do it over and over and over.
Yeah.
That's literally it.
Yeah.
Until your hands stop shaking.
That's exactly right.
Until you've done it so much.
Yeah.
You're gonna look
And it will stop. It will.
And
stop.
it doesn't take a year. It doesn't take
will.
5 years. It takes 3 times doing that routine to
Yeah.
a group of strangers,
Yeah.
and you got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And people go, oh my God, I'll never get. It's not true.
That's yeah.
When I started first doing stage shows, I was scared to death.
Mm-hmm.
Put me in a room with anyone and a deck of cards, let's go. But getting up on stage, I was scared to death.
Yeah.
2 stage shows, that's all it took. Same thing. Go approach 2 groups of strangers with the same trick that you've perfected. That's all it takes.
It's like anybody who's got a job. Your first few days, you're a bit nervous and you don't know what you're doing. What's everyone think of me? A few weeks in, you don't care.
You
just
start,
get on with
you
your job.
crack the
It's
first
just
joke and they laugh. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
There's the icebreaker.
It's
You know.
exactly the same thing.
And one other tip on that. This is an awkward tip, but one that I've genuinely used. When my hands were shaking so bad at paid events that I felt like I looked like an amateur, I drew attention to it. And I would say, you guys, you have to excuse me. I have some severe allergies and I have to take some medicine that makes my hands a little shaky. Don't worry about that. The magic will be the same. I don't want you to think I'm nervous like I've never done this before. I just have some medicine. I've used that. I've used it more than once.
That's great.
And instantly,
Now you're endeared. You're endeared.
they almost feel bad. Not feel bad for me, but it's almost like, oh, he's human. He has allergies.
And I bet you got even bigger claps as well.
Of course.
Killed with it.
Oh, that's great.
But it allowed me to address what I knew everyone was looking at, and I didn't want them to be so polite that they didn't say anything about it.
Yeah.
Because to me, that felt more weird than just my hands shaking. Like I wanted everyone to go, yeah, my hands are fucking, we see my hands are shaking. Let's call a spade, you know?
I love the honesty, man. It's so good.
The
Point it out.
semi honesty, because
Well,
then I
no.
lie about the medicine.
Listen, all
you know?
lies are not bad.
I agree.
It's definitely better than saying, "Oh, excuse my shaking hands. I'm nervous as shit."
Right.
Right.
Or, why are your hands shaking? They're not. Okay, you know? I think as far as street, we've touched on some great stuff. Know your material great. Have 3 to 4 effects that you can go out on the street with. Practice those to your tight network that will critique you properly. If you don't have that, there's, what's that thing? Skype. Get on Skype. There's 100,000 magicians in the world.
That's right.
A few that you're going to resonate well with. Skype session with them. Get them down, then you go, great. Today is not about me being rejected. Today is about me offering to better people's lives, and the ones that don't, it's because they got something going on in their life. And then go out and do it.
Yeah.
Find a cool
Absolutely.
spot. Another cool thing to talk, so with that, I'd love for you guys to have 2 cents on your approach to street magic. And then we're gonna dive into a few instant tips to kill nerves, as well as location picking to start practicing for real world. So do you have any tips on street magic? Again, pretend you're a 12 to 15-year-old boy or girl, and you wanna get out there and start performing like you see people do on the YouTubes and on the Instagrams.
I would never.
Not the fake magic Instagram stuff we're seeing, like true approaching people in the streets just to be a David Blaine style street magician.
One of the things I used to do, again, like I wouldn't let them know I'm a magician. I would see a situation around them or whatever on the street, and then I would make magic happen around it without saying I'm a magician. And sometimes walk.
Give me an example.
Well, okay, like I'll just, it's not the street, but so I used to do this all the time. I'd have a thumb tip, have a $100 bill, and then I'd have a check when people used to go to the bank. Remember, I don't know, people don't go to banks anymore inside. And I'd write out a $100 check, right? I'd stand in line, and I'm not there to cash it at all. I'm just literally there to do what I'm about to do, right? And again, this just helped me get over nerves and stuff like that. So put myself in real situations, not a performing situation. And everybody in a bank line always goes, oh, God. I know, man. Like yesterday was like,
how long are we going to be here?
I know. I just want to cash this check. And now I call attention to the check. And then I go, you know what? Hold on. And now they're like, what? Oh, you know what? That's easier. Cool. Take it easy. And I leave. And now they go, what just happened?
It's great.
You know what I did is I just solved a problem that they have. Waiting in line, cashing a check.
But you allowed yourself to perform without approaching anybody.
Exactly.
You allowed yourself the freedom to perform an effect in an organic manner that you didn't ask them to, but they're there, right? What do you mean you're going to cash it by yourself? What did you just do?
Right.
So I like that. It's the approach without letting them know. You're letting the magic speak before anything else.
That's right. So if you have somebody like at a bus stop and you're passing them or whatever and you're walking, and you know my cigarette stuff, right? Out of the pocket and like that. So I'll do something like that. Just can I get? Oh, cool, man. Oh, you don't. Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's great.
And then I go, you know what? Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Then just walk
So you're
away.
leading with organic magic as opposed to, like, you could say, well, I tried to lead with magic and I walked up and asked them to pick a card. That's not what we're talking about.
Never do that. Yeah.
Talking about with situational organic magic that takes place, and then they go, what just happened?
It solves human problems. I was told a long time ago when I was younger, if you're going to do magic, you should only do 2 things: make food appear or make money appear, because you're solving needs. Card tricks, who gives a shit? Who gives a shit about 3-fly? Who gives a shit about mentalism? You're not solving any needs.
It's funny.
You're entertaining. You're performing.
My whole hour-long stage act. I produce food and money.
Do you really?
No, I'm saying it's
I
like,
see what you're saying, yeah.
first one I produce a cheeseburger, then it's Miser's Dream, then I do a bill till
You just got a table on that. You just keep filling through.
That's right. And at the end of the show, you come up, feast, and take whatever money you
But
need.
think about that. What if you were at a homeless shelter and you're doing magic, right? Let's just say you were hired right there. And that'd be a great place.
David Blaine with the coins in the coffee cup.
What did he just do?
Yep.
He solved a problem. He met a need that a human had.
And he didn't even approach that dude. He walked up, asked to see his coffee, did it, done.
That's it.
Obviously, there was probably more that went on, but
And just walked away.
Great advice. So you're going to take, instead of approaching to ask, do you want to see some magic? You're going to figure out, hey, I go to the strip mall and there's a walking path. It's an hour or a mile long path that people walk up and down and they have a good time. Okay, I know that happens. So what spot on that walk can I find some organic magic that people mingle?
Absolutely.
And then go do it. Hey, guess what? Now you're the magician. You've got your in and you didn't ask.
Yeah.
Or you do it.
I like walking
You can tell that they're not nice or don't want to see it, and you just dip.
walk away. Or you do it, they're amazed, you just walk away.
Yep.
That's one of my favorite things to do.
But then you also do get the work on the nerves because
That's
you're
right.
still performing.
That's right.
It's a great tip. So real brief, let's just, like we discussed earlier, we're talking about streets and street performing, but let's branch off into the difference of audiences, the UK audience opposed to the American audience. I've performed in both, and I do personally find that the UK audiences are a lot more difficult. first to get applause on stage is one thing, but to approach the UK audience, I found much more difficult.
Are they reserved more?
I think yeah. Like I performed in both the States and UK, and I find American people are a lot more
Very open.
and they really want to get
have fun,
involved.
right?
But yeah, just from my experiences, UK are a lot more reserved.
I've heard that from everybody.
So would you say that you use the same approach across the board? You just see a different reaction? Like there's not really anything you could do differently to a UK audience that would let them be less reserved, right?
I think it's just the people. It's just the.
I gotta know why. I have no idea. I mean, do you know why?
It's the same reason as why does such raunchy humor play okay over there, even in the corporate
Very
world?
much
But
so.
is it that the UK audience are too reserved, or is it that the Americans are more
Right.
upbeat and?
It's either or, right? It's
Yeah. But I do use the same approach, but my personality changes. I find, like I'm a lot more, like when I'm performing in the US, I'm a lot more open and happy and more animated and
Interesting.
stuff like that.
So you're that energy of the reserved energy is wearing off on your performance even.
Oh yeah.
Interesting.
Wow.
I mean that plays anywhere. The energy of the audience is
course.
going to dictate yours.
Whereas in the UK, I'm a lot more laid back with my performance and not too much in their face. And so there are groups that are exactly the same in the UK than what you get in the US, and vice versa. But there's more laid back people in the UK and more animated people in the US.
If you were animated and you approached them, would you be rejected easier, faster, or would it be like?
Yeah, would it be off-putting?
Yeah.
in the UK?
Yeah. Like an American presentation to the. Well, no, because that's what I do.
Yeah. So like, say I go to like a hen party or bachelorette party.
And
group.
for the Americans, a hen party is a bachelorette party. Yeah.
Say I go to a table and they're all, they're there for a good time. They're screaming, laughing. You're having that banter with them and everything. And then you go to the next table. You take that with you, and they're just like a normal group who just want to. Yeah, they'll see some magic, and you go in with that energy. It just doesn't.
Really?
Sure.
You just got to really learn to. But like I said, in the US, there's really upbeat people, but there's still some people who are laid back.
Right.
There's just less of them than there is in the UK, and in the UK there's more upbeat, less upbeat people, and more laid back people. But you just got to learn. You just got to learn how to, and it's through experience. You just got to learn how to, bring your personality with each group. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
You read the environment and the group, and then you approach it with the same energy.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. So look, obviously this isn't every performing environment, but I think we've touched a lot on tips and tricks and tools that you can start approaching people with. But the brunt of it is that you just got to do it. You got to know your material, find the places to do it, to practice, and then once it's practiced, get out there and do it. Realize they're not rejecting you, they're rejecting the situation at that time. That's all that is.
Yeah.
They don't know you well enough to reject you.
Right.
And if you feel like
That's a
you're
really
being
good point.
rejected, you got to get over that feeling. It's not fun. I remember, it's a little too personal, so we won't talk about that, but I remember there was a time in my life where it seemed like everything was rejection. And then I did a trade show with a bunch of blue-collar workers that for 3 days was rejection.
Holy.
I quite literally would have to meditate in my hotel room and just sit and go, look, man, this isn't, it's not the world rejecting you, this is your
Right.
job, and this
But
is
it
the
feels
thing.
that way.
It does.
Yeah.
It can get heavy, but at the end of the day, none of them are rejecting me.
Right.
And I know that because none of them know who I am or
Right.
what I do.
Right.
And talking about rejection, like in the cocktail bar I used to work with, and mainly parties, not weddings, but you'd go to a group table and introduce yourself, blah blah blah. You're the magician, and they're like, oh no, we don't really want to see anything. Now if there's a couple of people and they do that, oh, that's absolutely fine. If you do want to see someone later, just give me a shout and I'll come back to your table. 9 times out of 10, once they hear the reaction,
Exactly right.
they'll ask for you back.
Yeah.
Yep. And that always feels even better because now they're like, sorry, show us something.
And sometimes there's an alpha male at the table who's who speaks to the whole group, which I hate and I think is really rude. And like, no, we don't want to see magic.
Right.
I was like, that's absolutely fine. If the rest of you do, just call me back later and I'll show you something.
Yeah.
It's basically saying,
Dude,
you're being an asshole.
You're one person, and there's a whole bunch of adults that can speak for themselves.
Exactly.
Easy.
So if you guys would like to speak for yourself, I'd be more than happy to listen.
I can't remember who said it, but saying something like, "Oh, so you're speaking for the whole group? I take it you're paying for all their drinks as well."
That's great.
Yeah, I can't remember who said it, but it's great,
just one above. Just it's great. Yeah, that's good.
All right, let's wrap up a bit. We got about an hour of material here. I think we've touched on a lot. I want to close with just a few tips, tricks, actual nerve killers, sort of from the keynote speaking world that I've picked up. And then, do you guys know Sasha? The magician Sasha Kresge, I think is his last name, Crespin? I'm mispronouncing his name. He's got a brilliant packet book.
Oh, so yeah, I was just the book about how to yes, I know
kill
who he
nerves.
is. Yes, I know who he is. Yes, I know who he is.
Some great tips.
Yes,
the
great.
main one that I took from it, which I use before really nerve-wracking keynotes, is some breath work before stage and standing on your tippy toes and then slamming your body down onto your heels. And that jolt, that shock, kills your nerves. It sounds silly and stupid, but it works. Now that's probably not going to work on approaching people because that's such a situationally based sort of like bang, get them now. But breath work does work. When you're nervous and overthinking things, especially about approaching, I'm not talking about heavy meditation and learning to meditate. I'm just talking about slowing down for a minute and focusing on your breath. Before you go and present something to someone, take 30 seconds, breathe in, and just think of that breath coming in and going out. And don't think of anything else but it. And once you're done with that, go, okay, now I'm gonna go approach this. And all you're doing is calming your mind a bit, because your biggest enemy is your mind. That's where our nervousness comes from, is your mind's telling you all this crazy shit that's not true, that what could, what if, what might. Take a few breaths, focus on just the breathing in and the breathing out. Cool, now I'm gonna go approach these people.
And do all this in the back, not in the middle of the...
You don't want to do it mid-performance, it's a bit odd. I've tried that. So it's here, and then the pretty girl's over there. I'm like, all right, I gotta have her pick a card, 1 second. Okay, could you pick a card, please? So for me, the gut advice as far as those nerves, breathe it out for a minute if you have to, get over it, just go approach, it will start subsiding. And then once it does subside, I never go perform and don't feel nervous to this day. Not one performance have I ever done where I didn't have the nerves. The bigger the stage, the bigger the price tag, the bigger the nerves.
How nervous were you when we did Wizard Wars?
I was an alcoholic at the time, in all fairness. So I wasn't. I was drunk. When I did Penn and Teller Fool Us, I was sober. And I was absolutely mortified.
Really?
And I used the heel technique. Right before stage, I did 2 minutes of meditation and breathing. I envisioned exactly how it was going to go in my head. I knew my script front to back, overly prepared, knowing I wasn't going to stick script, but I had it if I needed it. And then I did the breath work and the heel thing, and I walked out on stage and froze. And because I had rehearsed my script so many times, I knew the first line came out, and I went right into autopilot.
Right there.
If I hadn't have rehearsed it, I would have been a babbling fool that they would have had to edit out the first couple minutes. So, for me, approaching strangers now for walk-around gigs, you always have those ones that are hard. It's a big 6'3" guy who's clearly an important person at the company, and he's mid-conversation with 3 other people. Oh, I need you to go perform for him. He's the VIP.
Right.
So I go, okay, do it, go up.
But going to that is something I was just thinking now, and it ties in straight with that. It's all your state of mind, where you put yourself.
Absolutely.
Mentally. Like before every single gig, I'll drive there, and the whole time I'm like, I cannot wait. I'm gonna have the best time with everyone tonight. I'll stick Queen on, One Vision.
Absolutely.
I'll rock my way into the gig.
It's great.
And I'm just getting myself into that mindset of where, like, I'm gonna make these people have some fun tonight. And as soon as I walk in, I'm into magician mode. I'm entertaining. Saying hi to everyone as I walk in and stuff. And you just got. I think you've got to get yourself into that, not so much character,
Dude, when I put my suit on, I call it the superhero, right?
Yeah.
You button it, you hit the tie, and you go, you know what is right now?
Yeah.
It's superhero, Adam.
That's right.
Because I'm going to go be a superhero.
But
right.
if you drive to the gig thinking, oh God, I'm nervous,
Yeah.
it's just going to carry that with you.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, I'm going to go there and give them a good time.
Yeah.
And
You know, Harry Blackstone, before every single show, I think it was Harry Blackstone, would sit backstage and say, I love you to every member of the audience.
Oh, wow.
So he would be behind the curtains, and he would envision the crowd, however big it is, and he would, one by one, go, I love you, I love you. I have so much love for you. I love
Wow.
you. And he would do that before every show, so when he went on stage,
And yeah, and thinking
That's
of
great.
thinking of Blackstone performing now, you could tell he
right?
Yeah.
He comes out and he's like,
Very.
I love every
Yeah.
single one of you.
Yeah.
I love you people.
Yeah.
And I started playing that in strolling gigs. Same idea. When you go and bump Queen, I'm sitting there going, I love and I'm connected to every single, the worst person in this event. I love that person and I've got a connection with them. And I just think of it, because you're going to get them. You're going to get the
Right.
people.
Yeah.
And then if I have that already, I go, well, they're going to be here. And not every gig. So you have a gig without one and you go, huh, that was cool.
Yeah, right.
But it is like, you gotta love these people, right?
Yeah.
You've gotta love the people you're performing to. And I'm not talking about like soppy shit. I'm just talking about we're all human. There's one big rock.
That's right.
We're all gonna die.
That's right.
I'm just offering you a little bit of something because I love you for 3 minutes.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt that I'm getting paid $5,000 for it or
Right,
whatever.
right.
But we have this connection,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So I like that. Closing thoughts for you.
Obviously meditation, same with you. It's amazing, not just with anxiety, but stress in general in your life. If you literally just stop anywhere you are in the world and close your eyes and just go, okay, that's it. That short of a time even.
Yeah.
Because we don't do that. We're, right?
Our brains go from
Holy shit.
two things. Eckhart Tolle is a genius.
Yeah.
He's a spiritual teacher, but he says all anxiety, fear, pain, nervousness comes from two things. Worrying about what happened in the past or what might happen in the future.
That's right.
Which are the only two things we can never control.
Yeah.
Right? Worrying about what has happened, can't do anything about it.
Right.
What might happen, can't do anything about it.
Right.
We have this amount of time, this present now, and we all forget it all the time. We never take a moment to go, quite literally, right now, nothing's wrong.
That's right.
No one's dying. I'm sitting here
right.
talking to you.
That's
You're in your bed, you can't sleep, you're super stressed about something. It's because of what might happen in the future. If you sit in your bed for a moment and go, okay, what's really happening right now? What's wrong right now? Nothing.
Right.
So enjoy that.
Yeah.
Stop, like we're killing ourselves
Yeah.
worrying about what ifs
Yeah.
and what dids, as opposed to that. It's the same when you approach someone.
Yeah.
What are you thinking? They're gonna say no. They're not gonna, I'm gonna f the magic up. I'm gonna look like an idiot. You know, they're not gonna hire me, or I'm gonna, what if, what could, where? Instead of, dude, I'm a beast with a deck.
That's right.
I'm about to go entertain these people. I'm happy right now.
And I love, I don't know who coined it first, but I love the phrase that your opinion about me is none of my business. It
means nothing to me.
Business. I don't care about it. I don't care if you hate me. I
Absolutely.
don't care if you love me. I don't care what it is. I don't care. It means nothing to me. That's your thing to carry.
Yep.
I don't want it. Right?
And
More people
most
need to
people's
understand.
opinions
Yeah.
are the fears that they have for themselves.
Exactly. And then they find out that that person didn't even give a shit about, like, they didn't care.
Yep.
Brown talked about this. Darren Brown's like, I was so concerned about coming out as gay that when I actually came out as gay, I realized nobody gave a shit.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
I built it up in my head like it was this big thing. And then I'm gay. It's like, oh, cool.
Just like,
And you're like,
I
that's
don't want to
it.
screw this trick up. If I drop the coin,
Right.
they're going to know. They don't care unless you go, oh my God, oh man, now the whole trick is ruined.
That's right.
Never mind.
That's right.
You drop the coin, you're a human. You
Yeah.
go,
Yeah.
want to see another one?
Right.
Now you're the friend, you know, so.
Yeah. And
Well-
then music too, obviously. Lose Yourself is my...
Nice. Same here, dude.
Absolutely.
Yep.
This might be the only opportunity you got. I
Yep.
love that fucking line. There's
Yeah.
a reason for that line, because it really could be.
Yeah.
So why, again, go back to why not do it? You're gonna die. Guess what, kids? You're gonna die. It's gonna happen. Why not do the thing that scares you? Why not? Why not? Why would you take it away from yourself to have that great moment?
Yeah.
Duane, thank you so much. I appreciate your insights. Justin,
Brother.
thank you so much.
Man, absolutely.
Thank you guys all so much for spending some time. Hopefully this helps you get out there, get over your nerves, and get out performing and approaching people to share the gift that we're all practicing for probably the better part of our lives, which is connecting people with magic. So thank you guys for being here. Until next time.
Should we do the news thing where we had to chat at the
Oh, that's funny. Yeah.